Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Working from Home. We have a hybrid policy, 2 days on site, 3 days working from home. We can't pick the day we work from the office. This changes every month. Most of us are on salary, so work can go on till late nights or end after an hour. On days that I have heavy workload, I prefer to work from home and go to the office on another day. One day, all members of my team, 3 of us, decided to work from home due to heavy workload. This was the only time this has happened since the office opened a year ago. The manager got set off. She sent a patronizing email. In her mail to us, she said that she would count this as us not working that day. We decided to ignore her until we got a mail from upper management parroting my manager's words. Turns out most people have a heavy workload and whole teams with their managers are working from home. My manager wouldn't know since she delegates her work. Anyway, she escalated the matter and upper management decided to agree with her. My team had a meeting and decided if we are losing our PTO, we are using our PTO. We sent a mail to our manager stating the same, including a list of things she needs to do since we are off. We spoke to other teams who did the same with the upper management. We logged off and switched off our work phones. The manager had to do the work herself. The next story is called Saving a Few Dollars. I used to work for a company about 15 years ago that involved constant travel every month, both domestic and international. We were based in New York, but a lot of people lived all around the US, which worked out since we rarely had to travel to New York if you played your cards right. There were 2 main ways of making this work. You could volunteer for an assignment before your normal rotation started, and they would fly you from your home to the work location. Or, if there was work at or near your home location at the start of your rotation, you could just start at home. If you did the second option, they would pay you at a reduced rate for the time it would have taken to fly you from New York to your home city, where you are now starting your rotation. The travel pay was minimal. It was paid 1 hour for every 3 hours of travel, but it was a win-win. The company saved money on airfare, and you got to start close to home. I was living in Hawaii at the time. There was a lot of work in Hawaii, so I was fully taking advantage of the option to start in Honolulu. Since it was a roughly 10-hour flight from the East Coast to Hawaii, I got paid about 3 hours, and the company didn't have to buy someone airfare to get there. Win-win. This company could be very petty and aggressive towards its employees at times. It was a really strange company culture. They would fire or suspend people on a whim, along with other questionable practices. For example, I witnessed 2 employees getting fired for being in minor fender benders with minimal damage and no injuries. The kicker was, they even fired the immediate supervisors over it. It was totally random when they would go off the rails with someone, so everyone walked on eggshells. It was a terrible place to work, and I was trying my best to find another job, but the job market wasn't that great at the time. I was able to avoid the petty drama for the first year and a half that I worked there, but it finally caught up to me. One day, I noticed they weren't crediting me with the 1 to 3 travel pay for starting in my home city. Sometimes that happens, and you just need to call in for them to fix it. Up until now, it hasn't been an issue. So I call in to inquire about it, and I am told that they don't pay travel pay. I remind them of the policy, and that I've been using it lately without issue. They transfer me to a manager, who tells me that it has never been a policy. I tell this manager that as recently as 2 months ago I spoke to someone in their department to arrange it, and it wasn't a problem. The manager tells me they are going to research it and find out who it was and counsel them. At that point I remembered the person I spoke with 2 months ago was this manager. So I informed them that they were the ones that fixed it last time. Their response was, "Oh, well, we don't do that anymore." I said, "Okay," and ended the call. Apparently, I set them off somehow. Malicious Compliance activated. The next month, and just about every month after that, I volunteered to start early for an assignment in Germany. Now, instead of paying me 3 hours of pay for the flight I don't have to take, they are now paying the pay and airfare to fly someone else to Hawaii. And they are also paying for my business class airfare from Honolulu to Germany. along with the pay for the travel. They are paying several thousands of dollars in airfare to save paying me a few $100s. I kept this up until I was finally able to quit about 6 months later. I got a lot of airline miles out of it as well. They also had another stupid policy. If you were working in a place where they knew you lived or had friends or relatives that you'd stay with, they wouldn't pay you the per diem if you cancelled the hotel reservation they had for you. So everyone would just check into the hotel and then go stay at home or with friends or relatives. Now, instead of saving money on the hotel, the company was paying for the hotel and the per diem. This kind of thinking was common at this company. If they thought you were getting something too good, they would spend all kinds of money to make sure you didn't get anything, even if it didn't cost them anything, or if they were saving money in the process. A few years after I left, the company ended up going out of business. No doubt thanks to their short-sightedness and mismanagement. The last story is called Just Change It. I work for an aluminum awning company, worked in the warehouse for 8 years and learned the machines, and then moved into sales for the past 10.5 years. For the longest time, all we required from our customers to quote them was the size of the canopy they needed. If it needed any minimum wind or rate loads for being close to the coast or for being inland, and whether they were going to pull a permit for the job or not. If they needed a permit, we got an out-of-house engineering firm to do a stamped and sealed drawing. And then we'd adjust the material list so that our customer could build the awning according to the drawing. One of my long-term customers recently was purchased by 2 brothers that wanted to try something new. They had worked successfully in the tech sector, created some app, became wealthy and decided to buy an aluminum awning company from the owner who was set to retire. At first they were alright to deal with, but it changed. They had to be CC'd on every email to and from their own Salesforce and would call to yell at me if I didn't CC back. They asked the same questions 200 times for each job and would tell me, "We are your boss, we pay your bills." Major jerks. And my company considered not selling to them due to the time and effort each individual job required to get through. Now we get to where they made the mistake that cost them around 100k. This awning company did not do residential work at all, but instead did larger commercial jobs. Think of the overhead awnings you see over FedEx or UPS bay doors, or commercial buildings with window awnings and break area awnings, covered walkways at schools and churches. One of these churches contacted the brothers for a series of walkways that were going to be nearly 2,000 linear feet. A massive job. These were going over sidewalks, between buildings, creating a new drop-off area for the school portion, and smaller awnings for where teachers and parents would sit at the playground. The church wanted it done above board and told my customer, "We need a permit for all of this." So that's what they did. They gave me the information, I got the engineer, they worked out the details, got a price, paid it, and within 3 weeks we had a set of drawings. These drawings included 6x6 extruded aluminum posts, as the awnings were going to be 14+ feet in the air at some points. These are $700 plus posts, depending on color and paint. My customer did not like that. "Hey, about the church job, I need you to switch all the 6x6 posts to 4x4. We are going to save the church some money, and we have an engineer that vouches for the 4-inch posts. Do you have a stamp or seal for this engineer? I need to quote it according to the drawing, but if you have another one where it was chain, just switch it over, we'll handle it." Cue Malicious Compliance. They had been annoying and hounding me for this job and many others, so I switched the 6x6 post to 4x4. I sent the quote back with the extra line on it stating, "Material change from engineer's drawing per customer request." Printed out the email and took it to my boss to check off. She asked me the usual questions and informed me that if we sent this job out, we would not accept any returns, since it was a customer's request to change from sealed drawings. I let my customer know all this. They approved, and 2 weeks later, the material shipped. Now, little did my customer know, but the head of the county's permitting office was a member of that church. Saw the construction going on over the weekend, and when he finally went back to his office, asked around for the permit for his address. He found it, with the attached drawings used to get the permit, and took all of that to the job site. From my understanding, this man went out and measured every single post and spacing, and found that my customer wasn't doing anything to the engineer's drawing. The last I heard, he made them take everything down, refilled the holes for the posts they drilled in the wrong places, and basically made them start over. I've never smiled as hard as I did when Brother P called me, asking to return the posts and switch out for the 6x6. Unfortunately for him, we don't take back materials that has been cut, installed or has screw holes, and that he signed a quote stating the changes per his request. It took them another month to finish the job, and I only wish I knew if they broke even or not. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.